Hey, folks, welcome to another episode of Cutter One. I am your host, Jay, just Jay, your resident troublemaker and your resident culture warrior. I hope you are all doing awesome on this Tuesday. Um, Excuse me. So, yeah, I hope some of you checked out the live stream that we had done at 6 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. I thought it was pretty cool. We watched the Tales of the Ring production of the Doom of the Noldor, which I thought was absolutely amazing. And we're probably going to do another live stream this coming Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern. So if you're interested in checking it out, feel free. Like I said, sort of locked in right now for 6 p.m. Eastern time in the U.S. on Saturday. Now, I know one of the viewers, I believe it was Antony, was saying it was 1 a.m. where he was. So again, if people want to hit me up with suggestions for maybe different times that might be more realistic for some of you, because you shouldn't be staying up. Don't stay up from 1 a.m. just to watch my freaking show. I know a lot of other people are like, yeah, stay up till all hours of the morning watching my live stream and stuff. I'm like, nah, get some sleep, yo. Get some sleep. You could always watch it later. It'll be up as a recorded video later. But would I like to have you there live to interact with? Absolutely. But I understand, got a life to live. You can't be staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning just to watch me. But anyway, so yeah, 6 p.m. Saturdays. If there's a change in that or whatever, obviously I'll post it to the community tab on the channel. All right, so let's get right into it. This is a sort of oldie but goodie, but it sort of reared its head again recently. So I thought we'd touch on it because I don't think it's something that I've touched on with the channel per se. But I think that I don't know. I guess we sort of have to address it. Okay, and so this is coming from the good folks over at Startifacts, and they say a fan theory spins Lord of the Rings Eagles plot hole in a way that will make you rethink everything. So right out of the gate, they're saying the Eagles are a plot hole. Okay. So yeah, let's see what they have to say. And it says, what if the story's biggest inconsistency was actually a part of the plan all along? For many years now, a lot of Lord of the Rings fans have been questioning why wouldn't Gandalf send Frodo and Sam to Mordor on the Great Eagles from the very beginning instead of embarking them on a dangerous journey across Middle-earth? While some may frown upon this as a plot hole and move on, one popular fan theory offers an unexpected angle on the Eagles and why they why they only an option in the end of the story. Okay. According to the theory shared on Reddit by user Vulcan Deathgrip, Gandalf actually planned to use the Great Eagles to deliver Frodo and Sam to Mordor, but something, or to be precise, someone, messed up his plans. Quote, the Eagles lived on the other side of the Misty Mountains, but all the routes for crossing them were too dangerous and difficult, and Gandalf, along with his secret plan, ends up falling down a chasm in a battle with the Balrog. Just before falling with the Balrog, he tries to surreptitiously tell them the secret plan, but was too surreptitious, and they didn't understand, the theory suggests. Explaining why he did not go with the plan after his resurrection as Gandalf the White, the theory's author notes that after coming back, the wizard, quote, forgot many things, unquote, including his secret plan. Well, happens to the best of us. While still subject to criticism from people who believed that the Eagles were never an option even if Gandalf survived the clash with the Balrog, the theory does kind of fit into the narrative. Still, neither the books nor Peter Jackson movies have never hinted at the possibility of him having a secret plan to use the majestic birds from the start. And this is from our own Lois Everett. Okay, Lois Everett on January 12th. Okay, now remember that date because I'm going to have 2 more videos coming out today. Right, so you guys are going to see this on Tuesday. 2 more videos coming out today, and I want you to pay attention to the dates because they all have a very similar theme that runs through all of them, and they all came out really close to each other, which kind of made me go, how ironic, right? But anyway, Lois is actually entertaining this idea. Now, like you folks, I initially I don't give that whole, the whole, it's a plot hole that they didn't just use the eagles to go to Mordor. Okay, literally, that only applies if your entire point of reference for Lord of the Rings is simply the movies. Okay, if you read the books, you know why that's not a thing. And definitely, if you're into Tolkien, and like Mrs. Lois Everett states that she is, you know why this is not a viable thing, why it's something that wouldn't even be considered. Okay. So for starters, the theory says that, he was trying to, when he's falling down and the Balrog grabs Gandalf with the whip and starts pulling him down, that he's, when he says, "Fly, you fools." Okay, that what he's really trying to do is say, you guys need to take the eagles and fly there, which to me, that is just like, that is like a blatant display that you don't have a good command of the English language. And I'll say it. I don't care if I'm insulting people. I don't give a shit. If you're going to come at me with this asinine theory, and believe me, the whole eagle thing, why didn't they just take the eagles, is an asinine theory. Let's cut through the chase here. It's an asinine theory, okay? But when you say that, oh, well, when Gandalf says, "Fly, you fools," what he was actually trying to tell them, Frodo and Boromir and Aragorn and them, was that they should contact the eagles and take the eagles, and the eagles get you to Mordor. No, that just shows that you don't have good comprehension of the English language, at least not the English language in the traditional sense, the way Tolkien was using it when he wrote The Lord of the Rings, right? So when somebody was to say that they were going to fly, like if somebody told you, "Fly, you fools," or something like that, what they were saying was, go, run, flee now. That's how it was meant to be interpreted, not a literal, like, guys, you have to fly there, right? That is not how it's supposed to be. Like I said, you either have to be a barely functional idiot to interpret it that way, or you have to be wanting to interpret it in an intentionally vague, lack of understanding sort of way in order for it to fit your theory. That's the only way it makes sense. And like I said, I'm sorry if I, may be insulting people who are buying into that nonsense, but no, work on some English and you will see that Gandalf saying, "Fly, you fools," had nothing to do with, hey, go get some giant birds. What it meant was, go, run, flee now. That's what he meant. For example, it's the same way we would say, let's say hypothetically we're talking about someone and I'm telling you a story, right? And I'm saying, okay, yeah, well, my friend John, right? He came home and he found his wife cheating on him with the mailman. And he flew into a rage. That does not mean that my friend came home, saw his wife in bed with another man, and literally sprouted wings, left the ground, and flew until he was inside of something known as a rage. No, it's me saying that he flipped his shit and he lost his mind and he lost control and he started going nuts, right? It's the same thing. When "fly, you fools," that's the only way to interpret that is, y'all need to fucking run. Go now. Get out of here. That's the only legitimate way to interpret that, right? And there's other examples we could give, right? Tolkien, it's in Tolkien, he uses it and stuff like that. But I just wanted to, because if we're going to take this modern sensibilities approach, right, then I'm going to start ripping into some of these asinine theories with a modern sensibility approach. So that's that. The second thing is, Tolkien specifically stated that, he had used, okay, and I actually have the quote pulled up right here from Tolkien. And this is Tolkien in letter 210. Okay, letter number 210. Tolkien specifically states, quote, "The eagles are a dangerous machine. I have used them sparingly, and that is the absolute limit of their credibility and usefulness, unquote. Can be found in letter 210. And what Tolkien is saying there is, because remember, Tolkien was involved in World War One. He saw how air power affected things on the ground, right? How it was a game changer for the guys in the trenches on the ground, right? Because you're in a trench, the other guys can't shoot at you as long as you're keeping your head down below the trench. Sure, you have things like artillery and stuff like that, but, by and large, as long as there's no artillery actually dropping on you, you keep your head down, pretty good chance you're not going to get shot, right? And the enemy's thinking the same thing. However, the introduction of air power in the military aspect, right, changed all that, because now you could have airplanes flying above the trenches, dropping bombs or strafing guys, and they were virtually untouchable. Remember, there wasn't air-to-air missiles back then. Like literally, it would not be until the second half of World War One, the latter half of World War One, where you started seeing anti-aircraft guns, and not the big flat guns that we're used to from seeing footage from World War Two, but like machine guns that were designed that, okay, well, you can start shooting back at the airplanes, but for the most part, they were untouchable. So, and Tolkien knew this. Tolkien knew that if he created these sort of army of winged beasts, let's say, like the fell beasts, right, that they could literally be the determining factor of who wins any particular fight, right? So he, in that quote in letter 210, he's specifically referencing the eagles, but it also is applicable to the fell beasts that the Nazgul use. He knows that that's a game changer in the fighting, and so he's specifically limiting its use and not overusing it, because he understands that it would completely change things. I think he says another quote that it would be like introducing. It would be like if somebody were to try. Hold on, I actually have the quote here. Let's see. He says. Okay. Yes. He says. This is Tolkien. Okay. In the letter, Tolkien further says that the eagles should be used carefully as a plot device, showing he was self-aware whenever he used them, and he described them as a, quote, dangerous machine that he used sparingly, yet already at the absolute limit of their credibility and usefulness. He likened the proposed shortening of the Fellowship's journey via eagles to, quote, introducing helicopters to the first ascent of Mount Everest. Quote, to take the climbers halfway up in defiance of probability, and said that this would make a farce of the arduous journey. Okay, so Tolkien knew what he was doing. There was never any plan for the Fellowship to use the eagles. Okay, now we can get to in-story reasons why the eagles would not be used. Okay, the in-story reasons for why the eagles would not be used are as simple as, one, the eagles are Maiar. Okay, they are roughly on par with Gandalf and Saruman and Radagast. Okay, and I know some people say, well, no, they weren't. Like, first, they were sort of, not Maiar. Well, first they were like Maiar, right, and then they weren't. But then, like, as late as 1970, Tolkien reworks some stuff and basically says that they are. Okay, and you guys can look that up. I know you guys know your Tolkien and stuff like that, so you guys can look that up. But in case anyone asks, the last things he wrote about it, that he considered them to be Maiar, right? So the eagles of Maiar, they're on par with Gandalf and Radagast and Saruman and technically even Sauron, right? Therefore, they're not at the behest of Gandalf. Okay, they cannot be ordered to do something by Gandalf. They are Gandalf's equals. Okay, so in particular case of Lord of the Rings, the eagle that's in charge, the one that flies Gandalf from the rooftop of Orthanc in Isengard, that's Gwaihir. Okay, the Wind Lord. Okay, he's the one that's sort of in charge of the eagles that we get to interact with in Lord of the Rings. Um, and basically, he's on par. He's on an equal footing with Gandalf. He's not like there to do Gandalf's bidding, right? Um, and it even says, if you're familiar with the books, right? If you're familiar with the books, you know the conversation. Gandalf is talking after his escape from Orthanc, and he's talking with Gwaihir. And Gandalf says, quote, "How far can you bear me?" I said to Gwaihir. Quote, "Many leagues," said he. Quote, "but not to the ends of the earth. I was sent to bear tidings, not burdens." Okay. Now, I mean, if you really want to start doing a deep dive on Tolkien, okay, the ring, the One Ring, is referred throughout Lord of the Rings as being a burden, right? Frodo has to bear the burden. It is a burden to be a ring bearer, right? You're constantly carrying this burden. Well, it's interesting that Gwaihir would be telling Gandalf, listen, I'm here to deliver tidings, not burdens. Okay? Kind of implying, hey, I'm not a taxi service. I'm not here to drop you off at Mordor. So, I mean, between Tolkien's writings, like I said, Letter 210, for those of you who may want to go check it out for yourself, um, it's fairly obvious what's wrong with this theory. So the fact that Startifacts, the site, um, would actually be publishing an article as recently as the 12th. Okay, so you guys are seeing this on this. It's 5 days ago. Sort of trying to give credence to the whole eagle. Why didn't they just take the eagles there? Argument. It is sus in my book. And the reason why I say that is because there's two other articles I'm going to do videos on that came out literally within days of each other that all have the same theme, that there's quote unquote plot holes in Tolkien's work, right? And how, modern day sort of commentary on it sort of solves these plot holes, but Tolkien fucked up. Okay. And then finally the last thing is, the common sense sort of argument is like the whole thing was that if Sauron knew where the ring was, he would concentrate his forces to go get it, right? And so that's why they had to go with the hobbits and the Fellowship to try and sneak the ring into Mordor so that they could destroy it in Mount Doom before Sauron could react and stop them from destroying it. Flying a squadron of eagles, directly from, the Misty Mountains right over to Mordor, Sauron's going to see that coming a mile away, number one. And you don't think that the Nazgul are going and their fell beasts are going to be waiting there for you? Now, would it be kind of cool to see some air-to-air combat between Nazgul and fell beasts versus the Fellowship on the wing on eagles? It'd be kind of cool to see, but it not in relation to the story, right? So, I mean, just a common sense sort of thing. Like, Sauron would have been waiting for them at Mordor. The eagles never would have gotten Frodo and them anywhere near Mount Doom. And what would have happened is the eagles, the Fellowship, Frodo, Sam would all be dead and killed, and Sauron would have the ring. Completely changes the story, right? Because remember, the eagles can be injured. That's one of the reasons why Gwaihir and Gandalf are friends, is because Gandalf helped Gwaihir by pulling an arrow that he had gotten shot with out of, he removed it prior to the events of Lord of the Rings. So anyway, that shoots down that theory. We know that it's an asinine theory. It's just it was something I was like, wow, I can't believe they're still writing articles about this like now. But yeah, let me know what you think. Have you encountered anybody who said, well, why didn't they just fly the eagles there? And take the eagles, like it'll be like fast traveling. They could just take the eagles there and drop them right off at the door, or just drop it into the volcano from above. And, you had to sit there and explain to them, the million and one reasons why that's just stupid. Let me know if you've had that experience below. But all right, so that's this. That's Louise Everett from Startifacts and that lovely article on what I will call an asinine theory, the whole eagle thing. But anyway, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Remember, if you, I don't know, like the, remember to give the video a thumbs up. If you like the video and want to share it, feel free to share it. It helps get it out there. It helps get it seen. We need to spread the word. If you are considering subscribing, I would hope that you would consider this. Like, this is what we do. We highlight Tolkien stuff, right? Both the positive. I'm trying to sort of edge more positive Tolkien stuff and sites and fan stuff, and as well as calling out the stupid stuff. So if you are considering subscribing, I would hope that you would join in on some of the fun. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. It does the channel awesome. All right, guys, remember, be cool, be awesome, be safe. I will see you on the next one. Peace.